It's a very interesting space for women right now. About 30% of the population of that space are women, and
Okay.
even lower when it comes to women who lead. So, women in the C-suite, women who are founders. It's around 1 to 3%, depending on 1 to 5%, depending on the African continent, the
Okay.
African country you're in. So, that's where it's at. And
Okay.
it's a very new space, right? So it's very upsetting, if that's the right word, that women are so far behind. And that raises a lot of questions that I hope we'll be able to talk about today. Innovation does not always have to be things. That's why
Mm.
software is not a thing. Software, you sit, you write code, right?
Yes,
That
it's a
would be
thing.
if it is a thing,
Yes.
according to your
Yes.
definition, then
Yes.
there are more women that get into that. There are women.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Oh,
Jennifer,
hi, good
how are
afternoon.
you? How are you?
Very well. You?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome.
Thank you for being here.
No worries at all.
Yeah. So what have you been up to today?
Well, a lot of interesting things.
Oh yeah.
Mostly emails. I think I'm at that point in my life where emails are interesting.
Okay.
And my best friend is like my Outlook calendar app. I don't know if it's the same for you. It's like I have to be on time with everything.
Wow.
So that's where
Wow.
I am.
It's been over a decade. I used Outlook when I was
No
working in
way.
finance. Yes. Now I use Google, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
No
Now,
worries.
let's start this way. Please introduce yourself to my audience. Tell them who you are and what you do.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Jennifer Dumle Daniel, and I'm a lot of things. But at this point and for this podcast, I think I'd start with the fact that I am a PhD researcher in the completing stages of research work that has to do with women in technology in the African tech ecosystem. I also work in the research commercialization space, and I'm very passionate about helping that pipeline, that whole pipeline from idea down to innovation, and then making a meaningful venture that
Hmm.
goes on to be impactful in the world. So that's
Wow.
what I am and what I do.
Okay. Okay. You have you sound a lot like an academic and
I
researcher.
am.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let's try to boil it down into something that my non-academic audience will understand. Okay. So let's go through some of the things you do. Now you say you are working in a space to enhance women entrepreneurs, right? Am I right? Good.
Yes, women entrepreneurs in the tech space.
Okay, in the tech space. Okay, okay. So the tech space in Africa, what is the proportion of women in that space, and what's happening in that space for women?
It's a very interesting space for women right now. About 30% of the population of that space are women, and
Okay,
even lower when it comes to women who lead. So, women in the C-suite, women who are founders. It's around 1 to 3%, depending on 1 to 5%, depending on the African continent, the
okay,
African country you're in. So, that's where it's at. And
okay,
it's a very new space, right? So it's very upsetting, if that's the right word, that women are so far behind. And that raises a lot of questions that I hope we'll be able to talk about today.
okay. Now, you see, the tech space in Africa as a whole, we are behind.
Yeah.
Okay, we are behind. Uh, so tell me, why are women not at the same or similar level like the men? See, I will preface this as this way. Tech. is about things, and women as a whole, as a group of people, you guys like things that are more relationship based, okay? And tech is things, manipulating things, inanimate things, and that's my that's my thinking, okay? Tell me if I'm wrong. I think that might be one of the reasons why there are not so many women there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I wouldn't say you're exactly wrong.
Okay.
Yes, women, the research, psychological research, does show that women tend to be much more attuned with their emotions. So they do better in relationships. If you look at the numbers, right,
Mm,
to our male counterparts. But innovation and ideas, it shouldn't affect the space
okay.
because look at how women perform in education from primary, nursery, primary, secondary.
Yeah.
That number drops down when it gets to the university, but the women do way, way better than their male
Okay.
counterparts in university, in school,
Okay.
rather. In education, they score higher. But that number does drop when it gets to higher education. So you can look at the HESA data. So HESA is the data that higher education institutions in the UK use to
Mm,
to monitor these kind of numbers, right?
okay.
You can look at that and see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with why women aren't in the space.
Okay.
A lot of the times, there are so many factors, but one factor that affects women in the space is the need. When you look at our kind of culture, you can't throw our culture away. I'm talking from a Nigerian perspective, a sub-Saharan perspective, where women are believed to be in the background. And
Okay.
when you come to the foreground, it faces a lot of resistance. So
Mm,
I can also ask you, why is your default belief
okay.
that because women are better
Okay.
at relation?
I would like to tell you that.
Yes,
See,
please.
I'm a I'm a guy who grew up as an only son. Okay. I was surrounded all through my childhood by my sisters, my cousin, my female cousins, you know. And as a grown man, I'm also surrounded by women. I have three daughters. Three of them are teenagers right now. In fact, my second daughter just finished her A levels exams yesterday.
Wow,
She wants
congrats.
to study mathematics. She's very good at it. Okay, she's very good at it. And I will tell you one thing. I've tried to cajole them into getting into, even to watch documentaries that are not about relationships. They don't. They refuse. So for me, I've tried to
But
bring my daughters to my world, but they just refuse. See, just before I started, my second daughter just called me. She wanted to. I told her, "Oh, I'm going to do something." Okay, she come up. She'll call me back. Every time she calls me, we spend hours on the phone. Okay, and tomorrow she'll be with me again. We spend hours on the phone, talking about our classmates, what happened in school, this is that. So we do that. I give her a lot of time to talk about all those things. But if I try to bring the discussion to where I am, which is more likely about things, uh, she's not very interested. Okay, so for my own little experience, it does it shows that somehow you guys are not very interested in those little things. Now, to tell you one thing, I don't think innovation should be men led all the time. No, see, because one thing, you women are the people who buy things a lot. All the things that technology produces, most of them are bought by women. So you guys hold the family purse. So it will be very important that you guys get involved in designing, you know, and innovating most of the products you guys use. But
Well,
you know,
there, there are a lot of things to say to that. But the very first thing I would like to say is that
mm,
the women around you and the women you have in your house that you live
yes,
with, like a Barack Obama,
yes,
they're a very, very minute size of
yes, I know.
population. Yes. And so we accept that. But when you look at the innovation that exists in the world today,
Mm,
Facebook is a communication relationship bumble.
yes,
A lot of these innovation are things that have to do with interactions, right?
yeah, mm,
So that could be a strength. But something that did come out of my research from
yes,
women I spoke to was the fact that a lot of them were introduced to computers at a very young age. And
okay,
they sort of had that instinct to want to create. So
okay,
innovation does not always have to be things. That's why
mm,
software is not a thing. Software, you sit, you write code, right?
yes,
That
it's a
would be,
thing.
uh, if it is a thing,
Yes,
according to your
yes,
definition, yes,
yes.
there are more women that get into that. There are women,
Oh, very good, very good.
as I was saying, about the women who get introduced into tech very early. For example, myself, I'm in this space because I loved watching cartoons and I wanted to be an animator. And this
Okay,
was way, way back in the 90s. I had the opportunity, by virtue of how I grew up,
yeah,
to have access to computers when they came out very, very early, like the Pentiums and those very old, archaic operating systems.
mm,
Used to use them, Coral Draw. I was very interested in animation. And as I continued to evolve in that space, I decided I wanted to help more people, more women
yeah,
specifically, get into the space. So what I'm doing is a thing, right?
okay,
It is a thing that has brought me to your
yes,
platform.
yes.
So I think we should redefine things.
Well, maybe when enough of women get into doing things, you guys
Well,
can now redefine it.
Another thing I can talk about is the
Mm.
fact that I also work in the oil and gas industry. And
Okay.
an example is an FPSO. So an FPSO
What?
is a
Okay.
floating production storage of
Mm.
unit. Those ships that transport
Yes.
oil. Yes. And women don't have toilets on those ships.
Okay.
So what
I
kind of
see. I
culture?
can tell you why.
It's not about the why. It's about, do you want us to be a part of this thing or not?
No,
Why is it not
hold
a
on. This
default
one,
that
this
we
one,
have
I
toilets
would
that
see.
women can
I will
use?
tell you why. See,
Yes, tell me.
unfortunately, traditionally, women haven't been part of this space, and it's financially and design waste of resources, yes, to produce something that nobody will use. Okay. Now, if more and more women get interested in it, yes, then in the future badges or whatever that are produced now will include women's toilets. But right
When
now,
when when when,
right now,
when do you think the future will begin? If in 2025 the future has not started to open
well,
up for women to get into the space?
see, again, see, I talk about, in fact, I'm writing a book about inclusion. Okay. I really, really, really like, I have three daughters, so I want them to be included. But one thing about inclusion, for me, the people where all of us are saying should be included, they must be interested in being included. Okay? Because I see a lot of talk of including someone or some people or some groups that are not doing anything to be included. See, it's a waste of time, resources, fighting to include those people. Okay. And I don't want African countries to waste a lot of energy and time trying to include one group or the other in a space where they don't want to be included.
Okay. So I can come back on that
Okay,
now,
yeah,
right? All right. I'm going to give you a very recent example because
yeah.
I disagree with what you've
Oh,
just said.
very good. See,
Um,
let me say one thing. See,
yes.
I want us to disagree on these topics, because disagreement and debate on these topics makes our knowledge better, right? One thing I've noticed about Africans is that we don't like to talk to somebody who disagrees with us, and it's a bad thing for us. And I'm trying to change it. So I'm happy that you disagree.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I'm making a mistake, I would like you to correct me.
Well, I can't really say you're making a mistake because these conversations are always nuanced.
Okay.
Like it's not black and white. So that exists. That thing exists. But
Mm.
two things I want to address: the fact that you feel it's a waste when they are not interested, right?
Yes.
And then secondly, what's the second point?
See,
You said
I
it a
can't
lot,
remember.
but it's fine. I think Africa is growing.
Mm.
Earlier, if you look at the history of how London became the financial headquarters of the world,
Yes.
it was in the Netherlands where production happened. In London, they manufacture they get the raw resources and then they export by ships to the Netherlands.
Yes.
Before 200 years later, Londoners were like, can't we do this thing ourselves? And then they started production here. That's one. How did English women get into the workforce, right? They got into the workforce during World War II when
No, no,
conditions,
no. They got into the workforce a long time before that.
no,
Okay. But then they got into uh organized workforce, okay, like men during World War II.
okay, awesome.
Okay.
So they got much more into
Yes.
the workforce after World
Because they
during
have
World War
always
II.
been in the factories. Even young girls and boys were in the factories in the 18th centuries. Okay. Yeah.
They got into the workforce in
Yeah.
the after World or during World War.
During World War II. Yes.
The same thing happened in Germany, where Germany right now is a maternal society. The women lead a lot more than
Mm.
men, right? So these things evolve. And yes, maybe at some point when Africa began industrialization, there was no need for women to be in this space. Not
Mm.
today.
Okay.
Not today. And today, when we talk about today, we're talking about 2025.
Mm.
We're not talking about 1995 or 1997. This is not even 2000. Year
Mm.
2000 was 25 years ago,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
there is an opportunity for women to get into that. Now, these systems have been there before the women decided to be a part of these systems. And if one man decides, or one man who is the CEO decides that no woman should bother getting onto an FPSO because traditionally I don't believe you guys do it. Also, looking at my family background, all the women are not interested.
Mm.
So, what's the point, right? Now, that singular decision of an organization that employs about 5,000 people has cut off women from doing things, as you said. Now, come back to the UK. Do you know that billions of pounds is being lost every
Yeah.
year because we are not able to in the UK integrate women into the tech space. So this thing is not just about whether they are interested, forget about whether they are interested or not.
No, I
If we
can't.
add them, if we allow women, if we create the space, because we cannot sit down here and decide that it is not important
No, no,
organizations,
hold on.
when
I'm not saying it's not
organizations all
important.
around the
I'm
world,
not saying it's not important.
yes, 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 yes.
Okay?
But you
Okay.
said it's a waste. When
Yes.
yes,
If
so
they're
I'm
not
trying to
interested,
prove
it's a
that
waste.
point. Let me just land. When NGOs all around the
Mm.
world, even the SDGs, do you know that there are two SDGs just dedicated to including women? There's the inclusive, and then there's the gender equality
Mm.
SDG. So these organizations made up of researchers, policymakers, people who are in the space for over decades,
Yeah.
deciding that women should be given the opportunity, putting money into the space. I don't think they think it's a waste. If at
Okay.
all, I am not as broadly researched as I think. I
Okay.
don't think,
I see. See, I don't expect you not to fight this fight, okay?
yeah, that's why we're having this. It's
Yes,
interesting.
yes,
I'm enjoying
yes,
it.
yes. Now, see, the most egalitarian society in the world are this are the Nordics, okay?
Yeah.
But the more they give women the opportunities to enter all those so-called male spaces, the more they revert back to the traditional spaces that women have held all through human history. See, take your time after this discussion and check it out. Okay,
Okay. And can
that's
you just
where they
think
they
of
give
an
women
example?
all the see. Just take your time after this. You're a researcher, so I want you to do. See. All I'm doing is this. Okay, I don't want us to spend time, money on something that will not yield any value. I will tell you one thing. Like I told you before, I was my space before my injury was finance. Okay, I worked in City Group in Nigeria. Okay, in City Group, there are so many women up there. Yeah, in fact, nearly by the time I left there, the assistant vice president and above, maybe there were more men, more women there. Yes. Okay. See, I had three direct boss, four direct bosses. Okay. When I was there for over 7 years, two of them were women, and I had fun working with them. So I want women to do whatever they want to do, okay? But it's it will be undermining our progress if we spend, excuse me, time and money on something that will not yield any fruit. Now, see, uh, I wish my daughters want to be engineers if they wanted, but they don't want to. See, you are unique amongst your peers. How many of your friends are in your space? How many? I don't know.
A lot.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Actually, I excuse me, I got on a scholarship for my bachelor's degree, and
Okay.
all the women in my batch, they are all into information technology, so a lot.
Good, good.
But I get me right, I do understand your point of view,
Mm.
and I think this is something that we will have to agree to disagree.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
I think I think women deserve that chance to
Oh,
prove
be-
themselves. Not prove
very.
themselves, but they
See,
have that capacity.
see, everybody
So
deserves the
if we
chance to do
shouldn't
what they want to do.
go in to this with a default mindset. I think we should be much more, if as men, as allies, you guys are allies. Women, feminism cannot happen without men at all. It can't
well,
happen.
well,
In fact, the
I used to
greatest
be, I used to
feminists
be a
I know are
feminist.
men.
I used to be a feminist, not anymore.
Well, it depends on your definition because it's misconstrued nowadays.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
equal
equal
opportunities.
for all. That's
I'm all for it.
exactly. So
Okay,
that is feminism for me, and that,
okay, okay.
yeah. So that's it. I think we shouldn't, as men who are the
Mm,
allies of women, I don't think it is best to go into it as
mm.
we might be wasting our
Okay.
resources.
See,
So let's go
see.
back to my field of tech and start.
Yes, 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 yes. See, I like this kind of debate. Is like I said before, it's good for us to talk about all those things. I want us to do more and more of this. Otherwise, we might be if we think something there's something we don't talk about, and then we continue putting effort, money into those things. If we don't talk about those things, where you are simply wasting money and pushing some people into a space where there's no value. Okay, I don't want that.
I, I,
I've seen that in this place in the Western world, and I see they have the money to waste in those things. We don't have that kind of money and time.
yes,
We are behind, so
I hear
we
you.
need to catch up.
Yeah, but one more thing.
Yeah,
Apart from, the whatever kind of business we're in, I just don't believe that investing in a human being, just the fact that the person is a human being, can never be a waste. Whether it's financial, whether it's time,
well,
whether it's in the business.
economics. Okay, economics will tell you differently.
No, I don't think so. I don't agree.
well,
That one I don't agree. It's a
well,
human being. You can't, like, there's no value you can, humans are the,
well, economics will tell you differently. See, it's this opportunity cost, right? When you invest in something that nobody wants, you are wasting money and you are denying other things to be invested in. So
hmm.
that's the truth of life. Let's see. I know in your space, yes, you talk about alternative funding models
Hmm.
and grants. Tell me more about that space. What is going on right now, and
Well,
what do you mean by alternative funding models?
well, you know, our context is unique. And the
Mm,
context I speak about here is the Nigerian and by extension, the African context.
yes.
Like you said already, we don't have that time. We
Yeah.
don't have those resources to waste. So this is also a challenge. Amazon, for example, when they started, they didn't make money for a very long time.
Yeah.
That's something we call patient capital. How many people in Africa are ready to invest in an idea? In an idea, even if you tell your family member that you want to start a shop, how the money they give to you, you have a timeline to pay back, and it has to be soon, right?
Yes.
Talk less of leading $200,000,
Yeah.
$1 million, $10 million. So we need to, in our context, we need a different kind of funding. And one
Mm,
of the very first one would be patient capital. Capital that is patient with the fact that politics will change, things will happen, policies will also change.
yeah.
Every day you wake up, I can't even tell you how many times I always complain about the banks in Nigeria because they are my go-to example.
See, when it comes to that, right? The money that Jeff Bezos used to that he sat on while he was developing Amazon
Done.
wasn't bank money. Okay, see,
Oh,
these are the things. It was investors' money,
yeah.
and they are comfortable. They are comfortable to let him sit on that
For a
because
long
they
time.
see what he's doing.
Exactly.
See, they he shared his vision with his investors,
Mm-hmm.
and they bought it. And yeah, the vision is yielding fruits. So it's
Decades down
up
the
to
line.
us, up to the entrepreneurs, inventors, to share a vision with our potential investors. Now we don't have enough. We don't have enough African investor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
investors. Yeah.
but so that's something we need to do. It's not about government.
No, no,
Of
no.
course, the
So
government has to create the enabling environment. Yes.
yes, exactly. So it's not about the government, but policies and governance govern how
Yes.
monies work
Oh
in
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
system. For example, here in the UK, if you are a venture capitalist, they have the SEIS where you invest and that money you get you get a relief, a tax relief. So
Yeah.
that motivates you to want to invest long term. So
Yeah.
think like that, right? Patient capital. We
Yeah.
can also have a different kind of venture capital system where we have a susu, or I think most people the
Mm.
rotational monies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can explore those kinds of funding for what we want to do, but
Yeah.
funding for African startups need to be very, very patient, and it needs to also come from the diaspora.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
We need to maximize and find ways to
Okay.
like
Now
use
I will
diaspora.
push back on that. See, I know a lot of African diasporas,
Yes.
including myself, who have attempted to start something.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that drove many of us away is that we put in the money,
Mm-hmm.
and the someone in that home, back home, will take the money and put in their pockets, and after a while we get tired and just close the business.
I agree. It's happening. So what if this is an idea? What
Yes.
if, because I have thought about this. What if there is an organization that creates a system to stop that? This is value. If I can solve that problem for you,
Oh, see, if you can solve that problem for me, it will be, yeah.
yeah, it means that there are people like you that want to bring money back home, invest, right? That's what we're always saying. All the monies, if you are whatever ways and means you used to get money in Nigeria, if you are able to just put it back into the system,
Yeah.
create jobs, nobody's going to give you any trouble.
Well, I know one of my mentors,
Yeah,
right, in London.
yeah.
In the last 7 years, he has put in a lot of money in Nigeria. Uh, in fact, one of his classmates who he hired uh, took away a lot of money about 3 4 years ago now, uh, and it was a very very devastating issue. But for him to make sure that his business is working in Nigeria, he spends a lot of time there. It's a lot of time there. I'm going to see him tomorrow. Okay,
I'm telling
but
you,
he's there. He's there for months and months and months.
physically, right?
Yeah,
And you know
yeah,
what that causes is that the amount of time he spends in Nigeria, he could actually be outside making more money to send back to him.
exactly.
Yeah, so that's why this is a a space for value creation. And I
Yeah.
acknowledge that there's actually somebody doing great work, but in the real estate space, they
Okay.
are in Lagos and they are in Kenya, in Nairobi right now. They get money from the diaspora and then they invest it in real estate. So you can actually open your app and see what's happening with your money. It
Mm,
gives
mm.
you some peace of mind. I think there's value to be created in this space.
Yes.
I
There's a
agree.
lot of value to be created.
A
Yeah.
lot, a lot.
Yeah.
Because, like I was trying when we had a pre-conversation,
Yeah.
people at the end of the day, there's a certain kind of mindset. Even when I spoke with a lady that grew up here, she's Nigerian by culture,
Yeah.
right? Just like I suspect your daughters would be.
Mm-hmm.
And she would tell you when she meets a Nigerian who didn't grow up here, there's a difference in the mindset.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in how we see opportunities, how we see scarcity, how we
Yeah.
solve problems. So a typical Nigerian that you give your money to and invest with back home, he has to solve all his family issues. Even if the person has
Exactly.
a good heart, even if they have a good heart, they are hardworking, the pressure of family and the fact that the economy is not just supporting, it's not working out, they will tap into that fund they shouldn't, except the person has the integrity of I don't even know which example to use, right? Compared to someone who grew up here, that food has never been a problem. I mean, if you
Mm.
have £5, you can cook correct jollof rice with big chicken, buy juice or even wine and enjoy yourself and forget your sorrows, right? Think of tomorrow. How can you do that in Nigeria?
No.
With
Yeah.
And that's half of your minimum wage. You can't
Yes.
do that in Nigeria. So
Yes.
people are trying to solve their primordial needs before they even think
Mm.
of how do I even be cause impacts that
Mm.
Nigeria will shake, that
Mm.
Africa will shake.
Mm.
That's what's happening. So
So
have mercy, be kind.
yeah. So how's the Indian network for women in Nigeria or Africa?
Well, it exists, but we can
Mm.
also say that it's almost non-existent.
Mm.
This is not just for Nigeria or
Okay.
Africa. In the US, in North America, even in Europe, these kind of angel networks are just recently popping up right now.
Yeah.
People have seen, back to our first conversation that we had, that there's a need for venture capital, angel investing or private equity or even venture
Yeah.
capital that focuses on women. I was having a conversation with a black woman and her husband who run a company, a startup. And one of the examples the man told me about was the fact that they went to do a presentation to a venture capitalist and
Mm.
the wife was pregnant. So she had to sit down.
Mm.
After the whole presentation, right? They came back to them and said, no, they can't give their money. And the wife is the co-founder, the man is the main.
Yeah.
They said they can't give the money because she's pregnant and they aren't sure that she'll be able to do the work.
Mm.
If she doesn't get pregnant, how can she repopulate? You want to go
Yeah,
extreme.
that's a good
So
question.
that's why we need to create specifically for women.
Mm.
Women have child caring
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
So the trainings I do, which we train women specifically on tech entrepreneurship, there's the if you have a child, there's a space for the child to be taken care of. You can go and breastfeed in
Yeah.
Nigeria and then still come back. Don't feel left out. There's a
Mm.
lot of psychological exclusions that happen because you're
Yeah.
female. We don't even want to go to the bias of, oh, she's a woman, she can't be my boss. Although for it has been different. Those little cultural and
Mm.
cultural things
Well,
exist. So it's a lot of challenges that we've not even talked about the challenge of actually doing business. Being an entrepreneur by itself is a very difficult thing.
exactly.
It's very
See,
difficult.
it's being an entrepreneur, trying to make something in your head
Come,
materialize
come to
in
life.
itself.
Yes.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
but extremely challenging.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's something we need to talk about. So The angel network is not there yet,
It's not
but
there. We do have angel networks, but not specifically for women.
mm, mm,
And there's
mm.
also I need to, well, life is generally like that. It's a networking thing. I need to know you. It makes it easier for
Yeah,
people to trust you. So it's not so easy for people to just come from the outside and take a share of that cake.
yeah,
I know you too. I know you. So it
yeah.
makes it difficult, much more difficult.
Mm, mm.
That's what's happening in that space right
Okay, okay. See, 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, a young lady I brought on the podcast. She's from Mauritius. She she runs an incubator,
now.
an accelerator, you know, and yeah, she I, she asked me to become one of the mentors in our work. So I was mentoring some entrepreneurs, doing weekly conversations and coaching with them. Yeah, I did it for almost 6 months, but very quickly I saw that a lot of these young people are not very resilient. You see, when
Mm.
they encounter difficulties, instead of them to bring it there and let's talk about it, somehow our youth think this thing is about just talking,
Do you think there's
not
a
not doing.
cultural connotation? There like a cultural part to that?
Well, see, I look at our environment. See, before modern day work, all of us were farmers. We knew that if you don't plant a crop, you can't have a fruit. So we plant the crop, we tend it, we clear the grass all year round until the fruits comes. So we knew how to do the work. But in the new economic model, where we all ran away to the cities and we go to work in air-conditioned offices or whatever, uh, some of us don't realize that we talk, but then we need to do the do. Hmm?
I agree with you.
So
Doing
so
do.
young people, they, because of social media in the last
But
20
You
years,
you
they,
sound like a parent.
no,
Every
I'm a
problem is
parent.
social media.
Yes, yes. See, they see those things, they see all those influencers, who show cash. They think they didn't do anything. They just go to the social media, put their pictures, put their videos, and the money comes. No, they have to do a lot of work, you know.
Okay. I think some people are hunters. No, you just have the gun. All you have to do is just shoot. So we have the
Yes.
farmers and the hunters. Maybe the
It-
hunters in this context are winning or they are much more visible. Well, the one thing I have to say about this, right,
mm,
is that the nature of work is
yes.
evolving. I
Yes.
mean, we have ChatGPT now. Very few people, I can't even remember the last time I used Google. You want to do something, you just
Me
get.
too.
Yeah, exactly. So the nature of work is evolving. And
Yeah.
what Western countries are doing is that they are researching it. They are trying to understand the nature of work so that they can get more people, more young people interested in this is where this work is going. We know you want to be on TikTok, but we
Yeah.
also need this. The
Yeah.
sad thing about the nature of work evolving to be digital first these days is
Yeah.
that Africa does not have infrastructure. So when I started my work, my idea was, oh, for a woman to be successful in tech, all you need is an idea,
Mm.
internet, and a laptop. By 6 months into the research, I was like, okay, you need a good business idea,
Okay.
internet, and you need a laptop. And then
Okay.
I'm like, wait, oh, You actually need infrastructure to get constant internet,
Mm.
infrastructure to have light.
Mm.
It's not what I thought it was. Oh, that evolution. So we actually do need people who can go in and be engineers, and that's why I'm advocating for startups that are hardware based. I don't
Okay.
I don't want all these software as a service solutions again.
Yeah.
We have enough fintech. We've gotten to a point, a saturation point in the fintech where people are no longer innovating. Everybody's giving out loans. It's just rent seeking. It's tired.
Okay.
So let's even innovate the fintech space, right? But we do need engineers. We do need carpenters. We do
Yep.
need plumbers. You
Exactly.
cannot even get hot water constantly in your house in Nigeria except you put a heater in the bathroom.
Yeah.
You must boil water with. So we are skipping to the fourth industrial revolution. I In my proposal, I was like, is it possible that Africa can be great if we just skip to the fourth industrial revolution and we do you have 5G? Do you have fiber optics? Do you have hot water? You know, that's the thing. So
Uh,
yes, people TikTok, people will make money, but we do need the hardware.
yes.
The so
Very, very. See, I'm happy you talked about this now because I've been trying to tell the young people I mentor that yes, AI is here to stay and it's going to take up many, many, many jobs. But if you are a plumber, a carpenter, a barber, AI will not take your job. And the truth of the matter is this: we will always need carpenters, barbers, and plumbers. Yeah,
I think
as our population increases, as
mhm,
we builders, okay,
mhm.
construction
Welders
workers,
and all of that. Yeah.
we we will continue needing those people.
Yes.
Okay, maybe one day we will devise robots, right, that will do some of this work. Okay, but it's not today.
It's not.
For Africa, it's still 30 years to come.
Well, I'm going to give my people grace and say they will do it faster.
Well, see,
I'll
if I
give them
think
that grace.
30 years is long. It's
Not, yeah.
last 30 years from now, it's just a
93. 96 or so, 95.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
Yes, yes, yes. I agree with that. But I wanted us to buttress that point about resilience
yes,
because one of the things you did mention is the fact that they sort of slag off during your mentorship
yeah,
process. And I think there's something there that we can hit on
okay,
so that people who listen to this can say, okay, this is how I can then be resilient.
mm,
Because for you to be successful in this podcast, you said you had a guest 2 years ago.
yeah,
I am coming here in 2025.
mm-hmm.
Means you've been doing this
Oh yeah, yeah.
consistently. And I will call you lucky just for the sake of lucky because you were able to imbibe a certain kind of work ethic.
Yeah,
You don't believe that I put a video on TikTok, I go viral, I've succeeded.
no,
Yes, consistency. So if I would love to hear from you how you think that younger people can be resilient,
well,
especially in work and
see,
making impacts.
you see, we have a big challenge now because of what they see online.
Mm.
See, when I was growing up, there was no online. Yes, every and
No mobile
yeah,
phones.
nothing. We wake up early in the morning to go and fetch water. Eh?
Oh, you're
Yes,
one of those people.
yes. Mm. So see, the being resilient. is
Mm-hmm.
built into you from childhood.
Mm.
Now, if it's not built into you from childhood, and as an adult, you need to realize what you lack and consciously, consciously decide
Mm.
to change the way you do things. And I'll tell you, it's not easy. A habit is formed. To change it, it's not easy. Especially, you are surrounded with people just like you.
Mm.
So to change a habit means you're going to have to do start doing things that are alien to you and also alien to people around you.
Mm.
And I will tell you, those people will fight it unconsciously.
Yeah.
They will fight it unconsciously.
Yeah.
And most times, after your friends say, you're doing this again, you give up.
Mm.
So the only way is consciously realizing you need to start doing things differently, and maybe run away from people around you and go and relearn.
Mm. Well,
You know.
could we have an app that helps people be resilient? Because that's one thing that the Westerners would not do. They would not leave it to fate.
Okay. Now, if when it comes to this,
Mhm.
one of the one of the issues that young people have is that they have grown up online,
Mhm.
and that's a big part of them not being resilient.
Mm.
So to give them a, hey, it might sound interesting. The app maker might make a lot of money,
Mhm.
but how much success in terms of changing behavior of the user to make them more resilient? How much would it do? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yes, we're just discussing.
Mm,
I'm also thinking, is there a
mm,
possibility that a training module can help people be more resilient?
mm.
Because I don't believe that we should leave people to their own devices. We're social animals.
Well,
We need-
that's where I disagree.
Yeah,
See,
we need, I believe every human being needs support.
no, yes, yes. See, once you are an adult, right? You need to make it. You make a decision for your life, right? So, for me, I don't think we can tell someone you must do this. No,
Well, not must. That's why it's support. It's not
okay, yeah,
command.
but then they need to come to the realization that they need to do that. Now,
Yes,
if somebody say in my coaching practice, I give you a a document to sign, and one of the things there is that coaching is not magic. You need to do the work.
I agree.
If you're not ready to do the work, then this is not going to work.
And a huge chunk of that work is decision making,
Yeah,
deciding within yourself that you want to.
good. Okay, so
But
in my sessions,
mhm,
we talk a lot, but I'm always asking you, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? At the end, I will tell you how many decisions you made, and I give you those decisions. You say you do this, that timeline.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
support.
Yeah,
Timeline is support.
timeline,
Yes. And then you hold them accountable.
and I hold them accountable.
Yes,
But they need to make decisions.
I agree. I agree with that. Yes, definitely. So support is they decide as
Yeah,
adults that yes, I've come to the realization that
I need this.
I need to be resilient.
Yeah.
Then we can then support as people in this space and say,
Mm.
this is the training or this is coaching or this is mentorship
Yeah.
that is available to you.
Mm.
That's
So
I agree.
so how much do we have in Africa about when it comes to women as accelerator and incubator led by women?
Well, I wouldn't say led by women. I don't have the number.
Okay.
Yeah, led by women, but I do know that we have a lot of accelerators,
Yes.
programs, incubators that are supporting women. And it's almost to a fault
Hmm.
because the goal of an incubator is you have an idea, it's like a child, we incubate that idea,
Yeah.
make it
Mm-hmm. Until
bed.
it grows. Yeah.
Exactly. So it then becomes, okay, this is actually a viable business.
Yes.
And then an accelerator is, okay, this viable business, let's push it forward. Let's help it grow. It reaches
Yeah.
more people. It scales, right? That's what those two things should do.
Mm-hmm.
And for those two things to happen, you need money.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these incubators and accelerators, they stop at the point before the funding happens. So
Mm.
what that looks like is that African women are over mentored, but then underfunded. So you have all these women with all these programs. Trust me, if you go to your LinkedIn, you open up a page, you will see one program
Mm.
inviting people to apply, right? There's that training. We're constantly training them, but so few of them out of that funnel. You have a funnel, all these plenty people
Yeah.
applying to be trained, but then when it comes to the funding, at the end of the funnel, it just drops and drips rather.
Okay. So why?
Well, there's no patient capital. There's no capital. And then a lot of the times, there's a lot of cultural bias. Women aren't as confident as they should be. That exists. So women would want to tick every box. If you say apply for this funding and then you put five requirements, women
Mm.
want to make sure that they meet those five, even
So
excel the
they are doing entrepreneurship like office work.
Not just that, there's the need to satisfy society to say that I am enough and I trust myself. I'm
Mm.
confident enough. But a
Well,
guy would be like,
men also have that issue.
men have that, but not as much as women. Not
Okay.
as much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, women are more
Like you said
in
about
tune
the
to
relationship.
their emotion and all that.
We
Yes.
want to be perfect. We
Mm.
want to be perfectionists. Society has conditioned women to
See, see,
never miss the
see.
mark. If you make a
When you always
mistake,
say society have, so, see,
our culture, don't
yes,
deny that we
yes,
have a
yes.
culture that puts men on a pedestal. Do you want to do that?
see, see.
You can't deny that.
No, no,
I'm not saying it's a
I
hundred
can't.
percent, yeah, but a lot of so some things are given. We cannot ignore the fact that women are seen as second class in a lot of cultures, traditions. We
I
cannot
see.
deny
I will
that.
tell you. I disagree with that.
Because you are not running that kind of household. So
No,
you
see,
can't
see.
say that it does not
Okay,
exist.
okay.
I have spoken with
Let me
I've
just
spoken with a lot of women and
let me
yeah,
just tell you this.
that's what they think.
See,
Yeah.
even in our traditional spaces, our villages, there are offices that in the village, the chief or the king, whatever, right? Okay, yes, it's men. Okay, we don't do quiz. Okay, then
Just brush that aside
no,
like
I'm not brushing aside. You see, it's
you
a
see,
culture.
that's exactly that's what
Hold
I'm
on,
saying. So
my
the
sister.
culture by default, it's
Hold on.
what it is.
Hold on. Realize we need to realize one thing, right? We are not Europeans. We are, hold on, hold
Exactly.
on, hold on, hold
Exactly.
on, hold on. Let me finish. We are not Europeans. We are Africans, right? See, it's not, there are many things we do that has been shown to be wrong. There are many, right? But also there are many things we do, even though right now the modern young generation do not know why we do them, but they are very, very crucial to maintain a society, right? Now, I'm not saying we should not question it. We should question them to understand why we do those things, right? But we should not be too much in a hurry to change everything about us. See, let me tell you, if you see people I talk to, right, they think I'm Eurocentric. But no. In fact, most of these people, they're all in Africa, right? They grew up in the city. I was born in the village. I know my culture to the bottom, and I cherish it, right? But I know to we need to modernize. So even though I cherish my culture, I also explore modern ways to do things. But then there's so many things that, see, as a father in this country, I've seen so many things that are detrimental to young people. So many. And yeah, some of my kids are going through some of those things. And I step back and say, okay, so this. See, in the last 3 4 years, I spent a lot of time and money reading so many books about the things that have made young people so much into mental health issues. And those things, unfortunately, many of these things came about because parents thought, oh, we are being modern and allow this, allow that, allow this, allow that, allow this. And at the end of the day, your child, boom, they can't cope with anything, or they have done certain things that are traumatizing them. You see, once people, especially young people,
Mm,
do certain things,
mm,
they can't take it back.
mm, mm.
So we need to be like you said, investors need to be patient. We also need to be patient to understand what we are getting ourselves into.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can
Anyway,
absolutely.
yeah,
I love that you said we should let it, the change shouldn't just be like that. It
yeah.
should be gradual. I absolutely agree with that. I'm saying in that time frame that
Mm,
change is happening, this is the result that is happening
yeah.
the other side. So our culture that I'm not saying you can't go and change your culture overnight, no, but it exists.
Yeah,
It
it
is
does.
what it is. And because of what it is, it has effects.
Yes.
And we have to acknowledge those effects. So those effects are what I'm saying as a society that has conditioned
Mm,
life to be a certain way,
mm.
right? Even in Europe, they were burning witches. They will put
Yeah,
them on a stake.
yeah.
It was a society that they killed their own king.
Mm,
In France, they killed their king. So it is what it is. Every society evolves,
yes.
and we will evolve. The fact that that evolution is happening does not negate that women are experiencing whatever they're experiencing. So we should not just put it under a blanket.
No, 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 no.
In some cultures, queens cannot arise or queens cannot lead us. It is what it is. Even in England, queens could not rule for a certain period until it was a conditioning and life happened and a queen had
See,
to emerge.
for
So
me,
that's what it is. So just I don't want us to negate that it exists, that there are
yes. No, no,
people
no, no. See, for
experiencing this.
me, the most important thing is this: we need
Hmm.
to ask ourselves why. You see, when we set certain things, we see certain things in our society. If people who say it should be different, before you start shouting, change this, you should first ask why.
Yeah,
And
and
that see
the why is
that
what I'm telling you
no,
now. That
hold
the
on, hold on,
reason.
hold on, hold on. See, that is what many of us don't do. Ask ourselves that question, why? See,
Okay.
we tend to when once we see something that is different, that this society have changed it, but it's still in our own, we say it must change just like this society. No.
Well, not exactly. Not exactly, because when I started, I told you about contexts. So
Yeah.
the way we get funding, it has to be according to our context. The way we do things have to be according to our context. That's why I'm researching my context. I'm
Mm,
not researching because I'm concerned about
yeah.
how my context functions, right?
Yeah.
So that is that about context. I totally see that point.
Yeah.
Now, we found out that women out of venture capital funds in Africa is only 3%.
Mm.
That is what we are seeing. So
Yeah. That's the fact.
that
Yeah.
is the result. So we've gone ahead to say, why is it
Okay.
happening? And the why is what I'm telling you today. That
Okay.
our society does not like some certain things. Our
Okay. And
society
then the
does
question
not
the question is
let
the question
some
is this:
certain things. Yeah,
why don't we like certain things?
because of our culture. Because, like you said, you know our culture. This is the nitty-gritty. It is the atom of who we are. This is why I'm an Igbo. This is why I'm Ogoni, by the way. This is why I'm Ogoni. This is why I'm this.
Uh,
That's our culture,
you see,
and it will take time to change it.
okay.
So that's what we're doing. So now that the whole world has this information,
No, no. See,
publish the paper, and the
we
whole world has the information that this is
listen, listen,
why,
listen,
then we
listen.
can decide what to do
Let,
with
let me
it.
let me tell you. Let me tell you. See, we still don't know the why, because see,
I just spent 5 years. I know the why of
hold on,
I know
hold
the
on,
why
hold
of
on,
my own
hold on.
space.
I know you have done a PhD thesis on this matter and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. It's very, very good. Mm. I wish I could do it, but I can't. Anyway, see, what
Don't
I'm saying is this. What I'm
it's too
saying is this.
stressful.
Yeah, it's stressful, and but yeah, but the point is this. Huh? See, sometimes we need to continue to ask the question why until we exhaust the why.
I agree because the whys also evolve. You know, the reasons,
Okay,
the answers you get will also change over
okay,
time. So I
okay,
agree with
okay.
constantly asking why.
Mm.
Yeah.
See, I'm sure when we finish this conversation, me and you will be friends, because I want us to challenge each other. And see, this is why I like to talk to young Africans, because you people are the future of our continent.
Hmm.
Yes, people like me are old people. Yeah, that's the truth. Okay,
I don't
and
want to go into politics. Don't tempt me.
no,
Don't
see,
tempt
no,
me
no,
because
I'm
I
not.
will start
See, I'm
asking
not.
you
I'm not. I'm
questions.
not asking you to see. I see. Yes, I know politics is necessary, all right, but I want more people to actually go into actually doing things in the society, being innovative, designing things and all that. Yeah, I want more of us to go that route. But I also want us to ask ourselves questions, because it scares me. It
Hmm.
scares me that a very few of us actually ask questions.
Hmm.
I'm telling you.
Well, I do agree. I do agree. And there's a fear. You don't want the answers.
Oh, okay.
I also use this health example, right? In Nigeria, you might be your hands might be paining you, and
Mm.
no, you go come out, you use a spoken pidgin. I hope
Yeah, yeah,
you
of
understand.
course you can.
You use rub, you use menthol, use hot water, you use urine. Just go to the doctor. But the
Mm.
fear of hearing a bad report from the doctor,
Okay.
compared to your counterpart here, that
Mm.
as soon as any ache, surgery, they've gone to their nearest surgery.
Yeah,
So culturally, and
yeah.
maybe with a sprinkle of religion that Jesus
Mm.
will heal me before
Yeah.
the time, before it gets worse,
Mm.
you can see some conditioning. So it is who we are as a people. Our
Yeah.
mind needs to be washed. That's why that girl who
Okay.
says you can't that girl I was talking about, the one I spoke to yesterday, that grew up here. She says the way we see things, although our culture, we may both bow down to greet our elders, we may both
Yeah.
kneel down to, but
Mm.
at the core, the way we see life, opportunities, problem solving,
Mm.
the way we see things, it's truly different. And it's
Yeah.
because we've experienced poverty. If you grew up in Nigeria, you may have experienced poverty. You may have had to fetch water from the stream. You may have had to live with an auntie or an uncle from 6 years old, and you've never felt love. You don't even know what love is.
Yeah.
So how can you
Yeah.
even give love? How can you give love? We do love transactionally in Nigeria. You must give me something if you want my love. It's a financial transaction.
It's not only in Nigeria, it's everywhere.
Oh, okay, it's everywhere, but you know the context I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Mm.
I hope I made a point.
No, you are making a point. You are making it. See, these things are important. See, uh, it's in this in the tech space, and it's in society, right? It's
Because
everywhere.
technology, I don't know if you've been seeing, I don't know if you go to Twitter, there's a meme or a video going around, somebody's doing technology. Yeah, technology. It's a very funny video, and you see
Mm.
people inventing the weirdest type of technology. So people think technology is just electronics or
Nope.
something. Technology is how a chair works. That's technology.
Yeah, a
So in
cutlass,
secondary school,
everything is yeah,
a
yeah,
cutlass, a wheel. The
yeah.
wheel was one of the very first technology.
Mm.
So some people forget that that's what technology is and
Yeah,
just misconstrued the term.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Mm. Eh,
It's a
So
lot.
tell me. Uh, you talked about the why the matrix of success need to evolve. Why? From what to what?
How do we measure success as a
Okay.
as a society, right? And I'm going to bring it to tech,
Yeah.
not to any other space because technology is too big. I mean, because society is too big. What makes you say a person is successful? Is it because they have money? Or is it because they live in a good house or the startup has helped them buy a car, right? We
Mm.
we would not look at that as a metric of success in the
Mm.
Western world. We need to understand that when people build startups, even if they are women or non-women or men, the metric of success that determines whether they get funded, they get to scale, or they grow has to be something that comes from a different space, a space where I am not hungry.
Okay.
So if I can touch, even if it's 5 lives with my technology, you are doing coaching, you are successful. If one of the persons you coach is able to sleep well at night, that's
Mm.
success.
Mm.
So when people build startups in Africa, we need to re-examine what that means to be successful. You see, when you get $100 million from Silicon Valley, or is it when you actually change the life of a Nigerian, right? And I always, my most recent example has to be OPay. OPay is actually making impact in the lives of people. Yes, they
Yeah.
had a lot of money to do that because the fintech, financial technology platforms or infrastructure rather in Nigeria was really bad. You make transfers, it get lost in the void. You never get your money back. You can't even complain. If you go to PCCP, nothing happens.
Mm.
So they had to invest in that infrastructure. But when that money started producing results where I can transfer money to you now and you get it on the spot, the way
Yeah.
it works in every other developed country. People have peace of mind. I can actually do business. An Uber driver. I remember how I used an Uber one day some years ago, and it took me calling the my VC, what they call him, VP, vice president of
Yeah.
the organization I was going to actually pay this guy so that he can go. Because if he leaves, he's afraid that he wouldn't see my brake lights.
Mm.
So imagine just to pay an Uber transaction, you had to go
Yeah.
all the way to a vice president of a multinational. That's embarrassing. So we need
Yeah.
to decide what success is. It's very important because then it impacts what you build. Going back to the rent seeking. So if success for me is that every transaction that anybody makes in Nigeria, I get 5 naira from it so that I can then solve all my family issues, then I can say I'm successful. Wahala good day.
Mm.
But if success for me is that this woman that did not know her left from her right, by using my technology, she's able to sell to more people. She's
Yeah.
able to solve problems. She's able to even then export. I'm great. I've succeeded. And you know what? Reason why I always focus on women is that women, once you change the lives of, once you change the life of a woman, the economy of that family unit changes, the economy of the extended family unit changes, and then society changes. So
Mm.
it's always a star. Once you do one woman, it's a star that spreads out. So we want to touch more women and help them as well define what success is.
Okay.
That's how I think we should start defining success. Success shouldn't be defined by how much venture capital you get. The
Okay.
guy who has Telegram, go and ask him what success is for him. So
Yeah.
that's the difference, I think.
Okay. I get you. I get you. I mean, uh, the success in the tech space, of course, need to be defined by money for a reason, because a lot of funds are being invested in a solution. And if the solution is not adopted by enough people, right, to bring back the funding, that that solution would not go far.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, once you decide that for me to be successful, my technology has to change lives,
Yeah,
there's rarely a time where you don't get returns. And there's so many examples. We can start with Apple. Steve Jobs' goal was that I want to change the way people interact with computers.
yeah.
And then it graduated into phones. I just want a phone that has only one button. The
Mm.
same thing happened with the Paystack guys. Before I got into this whole world, I used to create websites, right? And I remember one time where somebody asked me to do an e-commerce website. An e-commerce website, you need to pay, make it you know, it
A
has
payment
to
platform, yeah.
integrate a payment
You
platform.
need to link it to a payment, yeah.
Yes. In those days, and when I say in those days, it's not the 1990s, I'm talking 2014. I went to GT Bank, and GT Bank told me I had to bring my entire source code. Then for them to then insert their own payment link in it, GT Pay back then. And that was the end of that project before Paystack came in. And when Paystack came in, lives changed. More e-commerce happened.
Yes.
People started selling all sorts of things with just a link. And
Yeah.
and Paystack was just a replication of Stripe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what when you focus on making life easier, when you truly innovate, that's what I'm saying. The fintech space in Nigeria, nobody's innovating anymore.
But see, but the point is
Changes
that
lives. Yeah,
the point is that
yeah.
before Paystart came on board, there have been so many other solutions that didn't meet the criteria to move forward.
Because you don't have the skill.
Yeah, okay. So every successful solution that we see today, there are maybe 100 that failed.
That failed. I agree. And you
Good.
know what? Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Like even Apple, Steve Jobs, uh, they have tried so many things before they got something.
Yes, it will fail, but your goal doesn't change. Your goal, your
No,
means
no,
would fail. The
yeah,
means
if
to
you
the goal will
mhm,
change, will fail sometimes, and you get one right out of 100.
mm,
But the real essence of what you're trying to do doesn't change.
mm,
It's the same. To make life easy, maybe in fintech, in technology, in how you cook, gas cooking or whatever, from firewood to this to that, that essence, the essential thing does not change. But the means to it, some will fail.
good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what define that essence as, if I get this essence right, that is success for me.
Okay,
That's what I mean. Thank
okay.
you for helping me explain that clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to human beings, we all need to define what our purpose is and do everything around that purpose. See, if you as an individual, you find your purpose and you do, you can do a thousand different things as long as there are within your in the orbit of your purpose to achieve to help you achieve that purpose, you'll be happy for one, right? And yeah, you'll be successful.
Yeah. And you're a coach, so you know that to achieve that, the person has to decide that they want.
Decision,
So
decision.
intention and wanting is not enough. You have to
Yeah,
decide that you want.
good, good.
Exactly.
So you see, we've dealt with women not having a fear that they are not enough. Yes, it's more with women than men, but how can we actually help more women to minimize their imposter syndrome?
The simplest answer to that question is information.
Mm,
Information. When you have a support system that
yeah,
tells you constantly that you are enough, it goes a long way. When you have a support system that even when you don't want to do it, they encourage you to do it, it's great. That's why I say the men are your allies. So if you're a married woman and you have a husband that you go to, I'm not feeling like I meet the standard, and this person is on the outside looking in, they tell you, young lady, go ahead and apply for that thing. That is enough.
yeah,
So we need support from our cultures, great friends, great family, and then great communities,
Yeah.
right? So if you find out that you have that problem, the onus, as my HR manager used to tell me, the onus is on you
Yeah.
to go and look for a community that will support you. That's it's information. Information is the only thing that can replace that that feeling inside of you.
Yeah.
Information.
Yeah. I know. See, the feeling of not being enough, that what you are doing is way bigger than you, that, oh no, I feel like a fraud. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
See,
but it's also a good thing.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
It's also a good thing because it makes you feel like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing something. If
yeah.
it's just easy, then any
Exactly. That,
human.
that was what where I'm going to. See, if you are doing something new and from the start it looks easy, then I would tell you stop it. You are not doing enough as a
Hmm,
human being.
hmm,
Okay, we need to always do something that we can only learn when we do something that is bigger than us. If you do something that is so easy, you will never learn anything.
hmm, hmm. I agree.
And unfortunately, a lot of people are satisfied with doing a little and just sit back.
And if I can come in here, one of the reasons why they are satisfied is the fear of the unknown. I don't want to shake things up. Everything is good now, I'm comfortable. So I don't want to shake anything. I'm good.
Mm,
That fear. But I also think we should, in addition to what you've said, people should go into bigger things with the perspective that I'm going into this thing to learn,
yeah.
not to fail or to succeed. Forget failure, forget success. If any of them come along the way, awesome. But as a human being, I'm going into this because I want to learn about this space. I have a friend that the guy has done everything. He has delivered chippings, he has delivered sand, he has worked in oil and gas, he has worked in the marine. He has cooked. There's nothing he has not done. So he has all this bundle of knowledge. And
Mm,
innovation is being able to merge knowledge from two different places, right?
mm,
So one day it's going to pay off for him. And then you'll be like, why didn't I think of this? You wouldn't ever think of it because you've never done all the plenty things he did to learn
yeah.
and have that information.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, for me, that's what I try to tell young Africans. If you are doing something that is so familiar to you that you don't wake up at night with excitement and fear, then you need to stop it. It's not.
Oh,
It's you're not learning anything.
oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think an African a Nigerian earning 500K or 700K per month would want to take that risk?
Well, see, if we don't get as sharp people to take more of them to take such a risk,
Mhm.
then we will not advance.
So do you agree that we need a purposeful channel to do that? We can't just leave it to fate. We actually
Well,
have to get people to do that.
see, yes, if we can have that, but you see, it sounds right that we need to organize those things purposefully. But see, I love history, right? And I look at things that has worked in human history. Those that have worked the most started and advanced not because there was a governmental whatever to say let's do this. In fact, I will tell you one thing: in human history, governments proposed solutions has always been the worst in terms of costs and the people who benefit. The least people are benefited with government proposed solutions. Human beings have gained the most from solutions that their neighbors provide.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Not everything needs government intervention at
Yeah.
all, at all. You have the Peter Thiel Foundation that gives people $200,000, and there's a startup called Scale.ai that Facebook just bought for almost $15 billion.
Mm.
So there are so many interventions like that. Even the work that we do at SASI is the same thing. So this work,
Yeah.
creating information that you're doing, giving your time, I'm giving my time. This is work to give people
Exactly.
knowledge,
Yeah.
help them see things from a different perspective. So absolutely, we don't need the government. And then at the end of, yes, so it's two, there's two sides to it. But at the end of the day, you do need certain things. That's why governments exist. And governments do not always, Nigeria is a democracy, but we're not. And we don't
We are
really,
new to the game.
we don't really need to be a democracy. If it's not working for us, then let's look for another kind of system that works
Okay.
for us. Go and
Okay.
look at the history of how the US, the federal system came into being in the US.
Mm.
If you love history, you would find it there. It was
Yes.
to fill certain pockets, help some people do certain things, and you see it replicated in Africa, forcing us. We are not those kind of people. The system that works in the Middle East is working for them. If
Mm.
that is the system of governance that works for us, let's do it. So long as
I agree. I agree with you, but see, I would say let me. I'll just say a little thing about our governance system.
Hmm.
You see, we need to understand that we are very, very diverse. I mean, today, Africa is the most diverse continent. And in Africa, Nigeria is the most ethnically diverse country.
I
We
think
have
Congo.
no Nigeria. We have over 300 different tribes
Hmm.
in that country,
Hmm.
and maybe over 200 languages.
Hmm.
Okay, now you see what system of governance will work in Nigeria that will allow us to say we need to be one country. See, when people talk about Africa should unite, right? Young people talk about that a lot, but they don't understand that the challenges of unity, we have a big challenge: ethnic tribalism. A continent that has over 3,000 tribes, over 2,000 languages, shows that we have been separated for a long time. And before we start working towards unity, the way these young people talk about, we need to reduce the divide. And hey, in Nigeria, for example, would the Igbos or the Yorubas or the Hausas agree that their language should will be put at the back burner and to allow a different language to become the national language? No,
No, because that doesn't need to happen.
no. Well, See,
For us to
if
be united, it doesn't need to happen.
oh, see that's where you're wrong.
No, it doesn't need to happen.
Okay. See, again,
Inheritance.
hold on. See, that's where you're wrong. See, if you want to be united, the way we say we want to be united,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a common idea of your society, a common myth
Mm-hmm.
that you tell yourself. You see,
Mm-hmm.
this is how. See, right now we have a common myth that that formed Nigeria. England or the UK came and colonized us and brought us together, and they gave us the name Nigeria because of the river. It's a common myth.
Okay, okay, yeah, let me let you land.
Anyway, see, I don't want us to
But I think that I want to just touch on it a bit. I'm not a political scientist, by the way. Your audience should not judge me. But I do understand the thing about a common ideology. I mean,
Mm,
India has Jai Hind,
yeah.
Russia has their own, Finland has one, I think the Finnish one is excellence, and those they have that ideology that even France, their national anthem speaks to the ideology that they are. So yes, as a country, we do. Naija no dey carry last is our ideology. We have several that we have those ideologies. So every Nigerian, whether they are carrying last or not, Naija no dey carry last. It is an ideology, although it's not
Yes.
official, right? What I was speaking to was the fact that we don't need to say one language should be in front and one language is not a problem. When Nigeria was regionally governed, we were doing
Yes.
way better.
Oh, okay.
So can we
Okay.
start there? Even before the British came, we had our own systems of governance.
Mm-mm. Hold
The,
on. Hold on. Hold on.
if wait,
Then we're not Nigeria.
yes, we were in Nigeria. Yeah, we
Okay.
were.
Good.
So if regionalism worked, and within regionalism and within this so-called Nigeria, we're still having our own system. There are still chiefs, there are still kings. We have the Amayanabo, we have the Benemene. You guys still have yours, the Ezes, the Obas, they are still there, the Sultan.
Yeah.
So it never disappeared. So let's not say that happened
No,
when it
no,
was
but then as a country, okay, our governance as a country is democracy.
yes.
Good.
So democracy was not there before the British came.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
No,
Democracy,
no, I disagree. See,
okay,
because if you look at the way,
for the Federal Republic of
oh,
Nigeria.
okay, there was no federal republic. Yes.
Yes, because I know that in Eastern Nigeria, they had their own form of
Yeah.
governance that
Yeah.
worked. I know that one person is not going to make all the decisions.
Exactly.
These have to, yes. So regionally, can we go back? Can we go and start there and see what it will look like?
Mm, mm,
No? And that's what I was speaking to about governance. So yes, let's all speak English and let's speak pidgin English to understand ourselves. When
yeah.
we go homes, when we go to our villages, we speak our languages because South Africa has about 6 to 12 official languages. So and South Africa is still what South Africa is today.
Mm,
So a lot of South Africans, well, the Caucasian ones are running out of the country because they have electricity problems. They have people are being killed. People are South Africa has its own
well,
issues with all the
those issues
plenty,
are.
yes, with all the plenty official languages. So
Mm.
official language is not our problem at all. Can we govern ourselves without external influence, without a central government? But we digress, and I am not a political scientist, so take everything with a grain of salt.
Anyway, see,
Anyways,
I like a conversation. Yes, we have delved into your tech space, women in tech, and all that. We'll talk a little bit about those things. Yeah, it's great. Now let me ask you a few questions I normally ask my guests. Now
yes,
I want you to be quick on this because we have been on this. on this conversation for nearly 2 hours. Okay, so I like my guests to recommend 5 books to my for my for my for my audience. So please recommend 5 books.
Okay, first of all, the first book that I would recommend has to be a fictional book. So
Okay.
they just go and read a story. The reason for that, do I need to give the reasons for the books or should I
No,
just
you don't need to, but you need to give us a specific book.
okay, well, I I don't want to give a specific book, but go
No,
and
you have to. You
okay,
have to.
read Chimamanda's latest book, Dream
What's that? What was it called?
called Dream Count.
Dream.
Count.
Okay. Dream counts.
Under
Okay.
attitude, yes, just to expand your creative mind. And then
Okay.
getting into the startup space, I would recommend The Lean Startup by Eric Ries.
Okay.
Everybody talks about that book.
Yeah.
Next one is The Disciplined Entrepreneur by Bill Outlet. It tells you step by step how to build a startup.
Okay.
Then there's The Prosperity Paradox by Clay
Yep. I love
Christensen.
that. Mm-hmm.
Great book,
Yep.
especially for our space. And then finally, so you want to start a podcast. The reason why I say so you want to start a podcast because I believe it's by Christine Menza is because I believe that we need to spread more information.
Yep.
So communication
Yep.
is where you start from. Whether you're building
Yep.
a startup or whatever change you want to
Mm-hmm.
make, well,
Mm-hmm.
go and read that book. So you want
Okay.
to start a startup. Yeah. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I want you to advise fellow young Africans on how they can add value to to their society.
That idea you're thinking about, just start it. Just start it. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait to have all the resources. Just start it. And starting it could be just talking about it with people. Don't be afraid that anybody's going to steal your idea. Just start it. So long as you believe it's going to change your life or change the life of someone close to you, even if it's one person, that idea, just start. Write
Mm.
it down. That's the
Okay.
only, be
Okay.
fearless about it. Yeah.
Good. Good. So, and then I want you to, what's your vision? To tell me your vision for Africa in the next 20, 30 years' time.
Africa, I see Africa as in 20, 30 years as a continent that is thriving, that is putting out innovation into the world,
Mm.
continent that people are flocking to because we have a great standard of living, a
Yeah.
great way of life, because our cultural heritage is in museums and people can't wait to know more about us. I see an Africa that is technologically advanced. I see an Africa that has all the equality that we need, whether it's for women or for men. And I see an Africa that, to be quite honest, is just great. It's just great. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. I believe in the young people we have. I believe in the diaspora. I believe that Africa will be great. 20, 30 years tops. We're going
Good.
to get there, no doubt.
Wow. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much.
Jennifer,
Ekene.
we had a great debate and conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. You too. You too. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.